please, just talk. Do something. Make a contribution. Do something, god damn it. Fucking speak.
Love and leg drops, bitches.
Peace, love, and leg drops.
Peace, love, and leg drops.
Peace, love, and leg drops. We love to crop. We love to crop. Peace, love, and leg drops.
Peace, love, and leg drops.
Fuck you.
After Party Hangover.
Welcome to the After Party Hangover. I'm your host, Mangria Fueled, and this is the show that talks about a show that talks about a show. Today's guest, the villain of the Steel Roll After Party, he's on time. It is Sinikk _Chaos. What is going on, my man?
Sweet, is that what they're calling me now? What's up, dude?
Well, as always, let's go ahead and start off the hangover with you explaining your Instagram name.
Sinikk _Chaos. So Sinikk is kind of like it's actually like a gimmick that I developed in a sense. I do backyard wrestling for the most part.
Nice.
Anything you ever see on my Instagram, a lot of that is yarding, which indie wrestlers tend to look down on, but I don't give a shit. And Sinikk is a character that I was a babyface for a while, and then when I went heel, I had to kind of switch things up. So I went with the face paint, the darker look, and it kind of ties into what Bray Wyatt is doing now, but I was doing it before Bray Wyatt.
When you were a face, was your name still Sinikk Chaos?
No, my name was Jason Atlas, actually.
Oh, and the heel is Sinikk Chaos?
Chaos was just the lifestyle. Sinikk was more the name.
Oh.
Started out as the disease. It was the disease Jason Atlas, and then kind of went into a whole name, which I found it crazy because there's Bray Wyatt, and then there's The Fiend. There's Jason Atlas, and then there's Sinikk.
Nice, man. That's cool. Hey, you're the first backyard wrestler on the Hangover. That's awesome. Well,
hell yeah.
Since you're fully immersed in this world of wrestling, how did it begin? Let's rewind the clock all the way back to the beginning. What got you into this? How did you start watching wrestling?
Wow, all the way back into the beginning. This is going to sound so cliche, but I started watching it with my dad. My first memory of wrestling, I was 3 years old, and, they used to play reruns and stuff on TV, and it was a rerun of the old school blue steel cage of Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy, and that was my first actual memory.
Oh,
then
wow.
Fast forward to the Monday Night Wars. Me and my dad, we were flipping back and forth between WCW and WWF, but World Wrestling Federation was kind of more of what we were leaning towards. I had my favorites. I had Goldberg, Sting, before we knew Goldberg sucked and couldn't wrestle more than 5 minutes.
Goldberg and his four moves with his sparklers.
Yeah, Gilbert.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that's cool, man. You started watching wrestling at a very young age. When you were growing up, were you sporting all the wrestling shirts in high school and stuff?
Oh, hell yeah, man. And I had the sickest Stone Cold poster on my wall. I actually have, an old photograph of my room growing up. And I had that Stone Cold Steve Austin poster where he's wearing the jean shorts and the vest and the winged eagle title with the gold chain around his neck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that one.
I must have had 100 figures. Every Christmas, I'd get 20 new wrestling figures. I had the best collection of anybody that I knew on the block.
Did you keep them in the box?
Hanging out. Oh, hell no. I took those things out. I played with them.
Of course. I did too, man. I share the same story. I had Every generation of WWE toy that came out, I got them and had my own federation and everything.
And I'll say one thing, not to jump forward or anything, but a bunch of these guys, Styx, Adam, Savage Alpha Foxtrot, all these guys, Julius Caesar, love his salads, all of you. It's cool to find another side outlet of wrestling fans to just be able to. Anybody I could talk wrestling with, I'm having a good time.
That's cool, man. Yeah, we're a bunch of misfits, and we welcome all newcomers, and we're glad to have you here.
Good to be here.
On the same note, how did you discover the Still Real After Party podcast?
Probably the same way that a lot of people were drawn to it. The fucking memes, dude.
Memes, yeah.
Those memes.
Do you have a
And
favorite?
I think Zanka actually said, I'm the majority of the memes and you hold 15%, Jake.
How and when do you listen to the podcast? Do you listen at work or when you're commuting or driving or something?
Work is driving half the time, and sometimes it's on a loading dock on a forklift. So both my ears are plugged, and I'm driving a forklift. I live a very dangerous lifestyle. I just tend to not give a shit. So most of the time I'm driving. I'm listening to the podcast probably 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern time on Podcast One.
Oh, wow. On Podcast One. Okay. Do you have a favorite segment of the, the past? Jake brought all the greatest hits back on the previous podcast. Is there a favorite segment in particular you like?
Not to put myself over, but I guess I kind of am. I love the fact that they do the Instagram questions and they read them on the air. It kind of highlights us and lets people know that we care about our fans. That's the message I get from them. But I love the Chop Shop. I love it all, man. I really do.
It's all good. Yeah, Instagram questions, they read whatever we put on there no matter what we say, and that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, we put some messed up shit on there, and they don't skip a beat.
It's pretty amazing that Zanka has zero filter and zero conscience, so that's good for us, because he'll read whatever the hell we say.
And Jake is getting more savage as time goes on, so I'm starting to enjoy the savagery of Jake.
He's getting rotten. He's getting rotten, so he'll be one of us soon enough.
If we could create a monster out of him, then I think we've all done our jobs and we're happy.
We got to get the fiend version of Jake.
Oh, God.
Well,
which means that he'll be a level 69 sex offender.
Yeah.
You remember you always got those letters in school? It was level 3 sex offender. I was like, where are the level 4s and 5s at?
Oh my
Jake's
God.
level 69.
It's going to be on his permanent record, watch. So over the years of you growing up around wrestling, I know you've heard dozens and dozens and dozens of theme songs. Is there one in particular that is your favorite?
One in particular. I can break that up in increments. I could go from now, then, different companies.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
even though he just recently changed it, he changed it to the royal version a little bit. That Baron Corbin theme song is so good. I think if I had to go all time, I'd have to say the Metalingus Edge, the Alter Bridge song.
Oh yeah.
I loved Randy Orton's song, the one he had right before Voices.
Oh, Burn Up in My Light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, funny enough, Mercy Me sung that song, and they're a Christian rock group.
And I actually like Triple H's song before Motorhead.
Oh, Time to Play the Game?
I don't know what...
Oh, I forgot. I don't remember who sung that, but I know what you're talking about.
I don't know what the hell he's saying in that beginning part, but it's like, Marcel Cizar.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
My time.
Yeah, that was my shit.
Well, who is your favorite wrestler of all time? I know that's a loaded question, but if you have more than one, give me the top 3.
Well, here's the thing, wrestling fans will get that question over and over again, that it feels like eventually they have to come up with an answer. And my answer's got to be Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What? Hell yeah, dude. Stone Cold, man, he just changed the entire wrestling game. The second he stunned Vince McMahon, I remember watching that as a little kid. I was scared. I was like, "Oh my God, he hurt the guy who runs the company. What's gonna happen?" That dude, he's amazing, and now he has his podcast, and he's still interviewing people on the network. That dude's forever gonna be the GOAT.
I'll tell you something about still real to me, that felt so real to me, that scared the hell out of me, was when Brian Pillman showed up at Stone Cold's house with a gun, and I thought that was real. And I was like, oh my God, he's going to kill my hero.
They got in trouble for that, didn't they? I think the sponsors and the network they fucking, I think they fined them and pretty much banished them from ever fake doing that shit again.
Worth it though, because
oh, it got the reaction.
What a work! Yeah, what a work that felt like a shoot. Which I'll get more into works that felt like a shoot later, Jake. Son of a bitch.
How about it? Okay, I know this one is probably more loaded than the last question. Your favorite match of all time?
I might have to kick that into NXT more now.
Oh,
because these NXT takeovers are off the fucking chain. Trying to think
yeah, they keep one-upping each other. Each takeover just keeps getting better and better.
Like these Adam Cole Gargano matches, the Ciampa Gargano matches, the things Keith Lee is doing. I mean, we could bash Lars Sullivan all we want. We can highlight him, but he was a beast in that ladder match. That ladder match was amazing.
Oh yeah, for the North American Championship.
That's when I hopped on the Lars Sullivan train, and I guess when he cut a promo and got called up to the main roster is when I fell off of it.
You don't like Def Bob Lars?
I love Def Bob Lars. I love what the after party made him.
It's the best thing the podcast has ever done.
Oh yeah, they're making wrestlers in my mind sometimes. I couldn't stand Dana Brooke anytime she opened her mouth, but the way they put Dana Brooke over, it makes me like Dana Brooke for that 5 minutes.
Exactly. That's a huge compliment to the guys, too. They can get the shitty wrestlers over with us. Is Zanka's campaign to put Rowan over working on you?
Yes.
Oh, we got to see what's in that damn cage.
It's definitely a little Lars. He shrunk Lars Sullivan, and he's just in all. Well, what do you call that when it's leather and chains?
Bondage, bondage, or
gimp. Bondage, yeah, gimp bondage, whatever you want to call it. But when it comes to Rowan and all the stuff that he's doing now, it's so I'm loving cringe more and more as I'm getting older.
Well, you said the NXT matches were your favorite, even the ladder match. Would the ladder match be your favorite gimmick match, or is it something else?
No, definitely not. I like everything Jim Cornette hates.
So you must be loving the Rusev, Lana, Bobby Lashley stuff, huh?
Again, I love the way that the after party puts it over. There are things that I have no interest in, but if you can relate to me with humor, you've got me. If you could make me laugh my ass off, like, guys at my job are starting to think I'm crazy because I've got my headphones in and I'm driving a forklift and I just randomly start laughing hysterically.
Yes.
And, like, one dude will be like, hey, yo, what the fuck is so funny? I'll be like, you wouldn't get it.
I completely understand. I work at a school, and at points, like, when I know Zenka's about to say something funny, I have to run into an empty classroom to make sure people won't call the police on me. Because, yeah, there's just random parts that will make you laugh out loud, and it's just so embarrassing when people are staring at you like, is that dude crazy? Well, how about...
If I had to go to all-time favorite match, it would probably be that WrestleMania... What was it? WrestleMania 17 Stone Cold versus... What was the Stone Cold versus The Rock where they had the My Way or the Highway?
Yeah, that's 17.
Limp Bizkit promo package. 17,
yeah. That's 17, where it was a double... basically a double turn. Oh, Stone Cold turned on Rock and teamed up with Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a really good one. The video packages alone, like, made you so excited, anticipating it.
Yeah, and doing Backyard, we had a dude who is just a genius with putting that stuff together. Like, WWE, I am a full believer that they watch everything on YouTube to get ideas. Because we would do something, and then 2 weeks later, we would see WWE do some of the same shit. When it comes to our promo packages, they were fire for Backyard Wrestling.
I want to dive fully into the Backyard Wrestling. I have one last question. The WWE video games, did you play any of them growing up?
No Mercy.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
No Mercy all the time.
You can't beat No Mercy.
It's 2019 and you still can't beat No Mercy. What is that telling you?
I wish they would copy that same engine and bring it to the 2K games. Why? What's stopping them from doing that? Like, they were so successful and people reminisce.
This is what I say. Fuck 2K altogether. Get out of the 2K business. Nothing has been mesmerizing since they've jumped into 2K. And I noticed... some of those little things when you're starting the video game, like those little like icons and stuff aren't there anymore that you used to see when the game would start out. And I think that they stopped doing business with some of the companies that were bringing a lot of life to the game.
Yeah, they did. Their contract expired with Ukes, I believe.
Ukes, that's the main thing I was thinking of, but I was kind of drawing a blank.
Well, speaking of video games, if we created you in the After Party Pro Wrestling, what moveset would you like?
My signature move is a spinning back fist, which I stiff almost everybody, and I don't even mean to. It's just there's so much velocity going into that. I clap everybody in the mouth. So if you see any of my videos on Instagram, they got hit.
So you're tossing potatoes around like nobody's business, huh?
Like nobody's business, like a fucking hockey player. And my finishing move I created myself. I put a couple different moves together into one to make it my own, to make it very unique. So you can't even get that in any video game specifically. But a TKO would probably work best, or a backpack stunner.
Oh, nice. Damn, you can do a TKO? Shit.
I TKO'd a 400-pound dude who's actually an indie wrestler now, who goes by the name Yankee the Difference Maker.
Holy shit. Okay, we got all the regular questions aside. Let's dive into this Backyard Wrestling. First, what is it called? What is your Backyard Wrestling promotion called?
Honestly, if any of the guys were to watch the main backyard that I started in and kept doing, even though everybody else around us were getting rings, we were a trampoline fed, so they'd probably laugh at us. But one thing you cannot deny is that we had the best storylines. We had the best like graphics and effects and all the crazy shit that we did. Probably had we had the best psychology, but then we also worked with other companies, their backyard feds from other states, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. There's a couple feds in Pennsylvania. There's even some people out in there's upstate New York. We were in Long Island, New York.
So
and probably a couple that I'm forgetting.
So does every promotion use trampolines, or is it just yours? Because I saw your I was trolling your Instagram earlier, and I saw the moves you were doing on the trampoline. It looked pretty badass. Did every backyard promotion use it, or is every backyard promotion different?
Okay, so at one time, every backyard promotion did use it. However, we were the only ones that kept using it. But I traveled. So I wrestled for NUW in Newburgh, upstate New York. I wrestled for DBW in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. I wrestled for VTW, which now has a whole bunch of guys that are in the indies. A lot of these guys are going to the indies now. And I said VTW. And there's another one so far upstate New York that it's damn near Canada, named UWF. And I wrestled there too.
Damn, dude.
And all those guys have rings now.
Damn, man, you're really serious about this shit. Did you did you win championships of other promotions in their own territories?
Came very close, but there was always something that kind of... Actually, there was one company where I won one of their belts. But there was always something like I couldn't make it that week or whatever the case. Or I've got a 1-year-old, at one point he was sick and I was supposed to go win a title. I've competed for their titles. The World Extreme Championship in DBW, I wrestled the same guy 3 times and had to take an L all 3 times, which made no freaking sense.
Are their belts like professionally made, like with the leather strap and everything?
Yes, and that would go to NUW in Newburgh, New York.
Are you going to pursue the indies?
I would love to. Honestly, have you ever heard of a name such as George South?
No, I haven't.
George South trained the Revival, trained Cedric Alexander, and trained Tessa Blanchard for about a year. Shook hands with George South. I sat in 3 different days. I sat in right after working like 16 hours. I sat down and I watched 3 of his classes because I was still trying to come up with the money. I'm not going to go into like the specifics of the money and everything, but January is looking pretty good for me. I'm getting a bonus at work and I'm getting my tax return, and I'm going to go speak to the man George South again.
Holy shit, dude, that's awesome. He
just wrestled the Great Muda, and he's old as shit too. But he wrestled the Great Muda about a week ago at Starcade or something like that. Whatever was going on in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. A bunch of my friends wrestled there.
Have you ever been injured?
Yeah.
I would imagine so, because a lot of that stuff is not safe.
Well, okay, so I think the dumbest thing I've ever done, I was wrestling this dude named Cyrus. Now, this is the one I was saying I wrestled 3 times for the belt and didn't win it. And not to toot my own horn, but I'm a way better wrestler than he is. And they were all like hardcore shit. I bladed. Now, to anybody who knows what blading is, I took a razor and I cut my forehead. And it was the third time I had ever done it, and I bladed too deep.
Oh, shit.
There was blood pouring. Like, you remember that match where Triple H was covered? His whole face was red?
The Crimson Mask.
The Crimson Mask. I think he fought Shawn Michaels or Goldberg or somebody. But it was like a specific match where Triple H was like losing way too much blood. And it was on that level. Like, mid-match, I ran to the back and grabbed a towel and held it there for a little while and got back in there.
How many stitches?
None.
No stitches? Oh, shit.
What did I do? I think I used a little bit of some kind of glue and duct tape.
Holy shit. That must have left a wicked-ass scar, man.
It's still there.
Hey, it's battle scars. It's something you can brag about. And you got a story for it forever now.
And there's footage. You can watch the whole match on YouTube.
Oh, there is? Let me write this down. What is it? What is the title of it? I want to see this.
Okay, so dominating backyard wrestling to break it up of DBW.
Dominating backyard wrestling?
Yep.
Wrestling. Is there a
and it was the World Extreme Championship match, Cyrus versus Jason Atlas.
Jason. Damn, dude, that's awesome. Your stuff is on YouTube. How many matches do you have on YouTube?
A lot, actually. Some I'm proud of more than others. The only thing about it is, not all these are broken down to. Most of them aren't broken down to where you can just watch my one match. You gotta. It's a whole show. So if you're seeing 2.5 hours, 3 hours, I did not wrestle a 3-hour match.
Yeah.
You're talking about a whole show, and you gotta fight through it to get there.
That's badass, dude. I'm gonna check that shit out. Does your wife or girl, are you married?
Fiance.
Does she watch these shows and get pissed off at you, or is she down with it?
She's down with it. The trampoline company in New York, they're like big brothers to her, honestly. When she was pregnant with my son, every one of the guys threw their coat on her to keep her warm while she watched us in probably 30-degree weather like idiots wrestle in the freezing cold to put on our last show of the year. Or our first show of the year, I don't remember.
Well, that was nice of them.
Let me make a point really quick as to why I didn't jump into the independents earlier. Why I'm backyard wrestling at such an older age, and that ties into pretty much everything John Moxley said right before he went to AEW. I didn't want to have my freedom taken away from me and lose everything that I love about wrestling. The thing about when you're doing backyard is you have control over your own gimmick. You have control over, you have a say in storylines. You kind of get to just enjoy it the whole time without having to think.
So you get to you and the guy you're facing get to talk about what you're gonna do and the story that you guys are building. You have 100% creative control.
We have all the creative control that we want.
Who's the Vince McMahon of your wrestling company? If we need help,
we can ask. What's that?
Who's running the show? Who's your Vince McMahon of your backyard wrestling?
That all depends on. That depends on if I'm where I'm wrestling, really. Every place has that guy.
Well, I mean locally, like where you do it the most.
When I was doing it the most in UWE, which was in Long Island, that was his name's Everett, and it was his house.
Oh shit!
So of course he's going to be the Vince. But let me tell you, he had such a creative mind. He helped come up with the majority of the guys' characters, and he didn't help come up with them because that's what he wanted. It was more because we appreciated his outside the box thinking, and we went to him for advice because he was that good.
That's fucking cool, dude. I mean, I can only imagine what experiences you've had, and were you guys performing in front of crowds? Was it like was it a actual backyard where people would show up and barbecue or whatever?
Yeah, basically. Like I said, all these companies, they kind of break off with different experiences. Now, when it came to UWE, here's the thing about that. All these other companies, the crowd, they could be on their phones, they could be doing this, they could be doing that for matches. But for UWE, we were our own fans. If you weren't wrestling, best believe you're on the side making noise. You're cheering these guys on. You're booing the heels. You're cheering the faces. We're creating our own chants. There are chants that I never heard in WWE before, but after we did it, we kind of started hearing that, and that was kind of ironic. That's why I'm such a believer that WWE watches everything on YouTube. And
for
steals
sure.
ideas.
For sure. WWE has feelers, man. They have people watching social media, YouTube. They have people out there all the time, especially talent scouts, and they got eyes everywhere, basically.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't tell you, but I work for WWE. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, well...
You're like, oh, yeah, just keep giving us ideas.
I was about to sign you. No, I was kidding. I wanted to move on because I did notice when I was trolling your Instagram, you attended a live AEW show, and I want to hear all about it. How was it?
Oh, my God. That was amazing. That was my best wrestling experience of going to a show since I was at a SmackDown right before Stone Cold and The Rock were going to face each other at Mania before. It was a Road to WrestleMania tour. It was a live SmackDown, but it was a Road to WrestleMania tour. And do you remember when The Rock and Stone Cold were forced to team up? And afterwards they had that beer bash, and Stone Cold throws The Rock a beer, and there was that famous stun where as he's selling the stunner, he spits out the beer midair.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Well, I've been to a lot of Raw, SmackDowns, and house shows, but that was my best time at a show since then.
Wow. That's the one person I never got to see live was Stone Cold Steve Austin. I've seen everybody else except for Stone Cold.
And I'll tell you, man, back in the Attitude Era, it was like the pyro was on another level, as if it like hit the roof or something. When Big Show, Kane, Chris Jericho, all these guys that had that hard pyro, when they're you call it a blast. You wouldn't call it pyro. I would jump 50 feet in the air because it would scare the living shit out of me.
Especially Kane, huh?
Obviously, nowadays, Kane's was the worst. And you felt the heat of Booker T's flames.
Yep, I remember that.
So, AEW, obviously, the pyro isn't that serious, but need I remind you that I was there for that famous, huge Cody Rhodes promo.
Oh, you were? Did you have
the one that they were comparing it to the fans on social media and stuff were comparing it to the Working Man promo from Dusty Rhodes himself.
I was going to ask you, sorry, from the beginning of that night, compared to WWE events, is AEW like more looser? Are they more looser with the rules? They're not as strict as WWE is?
They're looser, they're louder. Actually, it's funny because I think I might have put this video on Instagram. If not, I think I'm gonna. But there's a video of me and my friend Tyler, and he's an indie wrestler now. If you want to look him up, he's part of a tag team called the Skinny Dudes with Attitude. And me and him, we snuck down by the ring in time for AEW Dark.
Yeah, you did post that video.
Yep. It's so funny, too, because I pissed off the librarian worse than you could ever believe.
What did you do?
Well, she started shushing us, and I was right there by the guardrail at that point. And she's doing a shh. And I was like, no, you shut the fuck up, bitch. And she turned around, and she was so mad.
Oh,
and she started screaming at just me. So I started flipping her off. And she's like, you need to get out of here. And I was like, why did you make me, bitch? And the people around me and my friend, they were just dying.
Oh, fuck, dude. That's all badass. Did the wrestlers go out and, like, high-five the crowd after the taping was over? Because they did that sometimes in WWE, like, where Batista or Shawn Michaels, I remember he used to always make sure he gave everyone a high five after the camera stopped rolling.
Oh, they did that during. And I think Hangman was a match where he accidentally skinned a kid's elbow, hitting the guardrail. He came out, threw the kid a bunch of merch, took a picture with him, all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
And all the guys were just very interactive. Even Jericho, when you guys were all looking at a commercial, Jericho was cutting the funniest promo where we were chanting, "You suck dick." And Jericho's going, "What? What'd you say? Katie Vick?"
Holy shit. Talk about fucking back in the day. My God. Jericho's just a man.
They take it to a level. Oh, yeah. They put on a show for just us, even though we were on the air.
That's awesome, man. See, that's why AEW, hopefully things are going to be different with them, because you can already tell the shows are different. And when Jericho comes out there, he just owns the audience, just like Cody. It must have been a really good time for you guys.
It was the best time. And you think about how the show ended. There was that huge brawl, and then you have Mick Jackson backflipping. I think he did a backflip, yeah. Off of the freaking, what's considered to them as the Titantron.
I'm trying to remember that. I can't remember that episode.
You got to go back to that. Just search back of the night that Cody Rhodes cut that promo before he was going to face Jericho in Charlotte. And rewatch that whole show, because top to bottom, it was such a good show. I don't think that it did justice on TV how high Orange Cassidy's sunglasses got kicked up in the air when he got super kicked in the face.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I bought this AEW, I wore it today. I bought this AEW hoodie zip-up jacket, and that's some of the best merch I've had in a long time. It is $60, and it was worth every penny.
You know what shirt I really want is the Young Buck shirt with the green lightning bolt on it.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm gonna get that.
I have a jobber character that I play, and his name is Tiny Dom. Tyemidong. Always loses, always makes a fool of himself. And I'm actually going to go on ProWrestlingTees.com and get a Dong style shirt just for him.
What's his win-loss record?
It's got to be 0 and probably 120 by now.
Holy shit. Damn, dude. Well, you know what? I have way more questions to ask you, so we could actually do this again. But I'm going to move on now to talking about the Still Real After Party episode 100. We made it, or did we? Okay. I gotta blow some smoke up their asses real quick. Me and Jake have been talking. We talk on Instagram, and when all this started, I was like, "Is this a shoot or is this a work?" And he did the wink emoji, and so I was like, "Oh, okay, everything's fine. Everything's fine. This is a work." And then when I pushed play on episode 100, and the Still Real Radio theme played, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I felt like I was in 2017 again. And I was thinking, oh shit. And then Josh came on and Zanka were talking, and they were just talking like they used to talk back in when the Still Real Radio was on. In my brain, I was thinking, oh shit, Jake really did. He quit. Jake quit. He worked me. He quit, and because he said he's going to do a football podcast. I don't know if you remember him saying that. And I thought he was going to take all his focus onto the football podcast and then give Still Real Radio back to Josh and Zanka, let them do it. So in my head, I was like, I was accepting it. I was shocked. I was stunned. And then they did that Wayne's World. And he said, wake the fuck up, Zanka. I was like, oh my God, he got me. He got me so good. Like I almost, it blew me away. I loved it. What did you think about the opening?
Okay, I have so much to say about this, but I'll try to sum it up to not be like a over-talkative son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So I too have been. Me and Jake didn't talk really at all until recently, and we have been messaging back and forth. However, Jake likes you of a hell of a lot more than he likes me because I didn't get that fucking wink. What I got was like, I don't know, man. I don't see it happening. Like, continuing to work me personally. Also, I'll tear into how Jake was just burying me during my Instagram question, but I'll get to that later.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that later. I actually have a sound clip I'm gonna play for you, but that's later.
Okay. All right. So I was talking to my fiance about this, and this is kind of like my own thing. I don't really talk to her that much except for telling her that they have a podcast and it's awesome and it's funny. But like, I was like, these fuckers broke up. Like, I can't believe it. Like, I was emotionally invested in this decent pod, and it's really messing with me. And I was telling her everything that happened, how Jake slammed the door, and she was trying to tell me, I think it's a work. Why would they do that? Everything. And then that intro came on. And, okay, so you've been listening all that time. You're talking about back to 2017. I haven't been listening to it as nearly as long as you have. I'm glad I discovered it. I wish I discovered it earlier, but I hadn't. So I have no idea who Josh is. I knew about Zanka trying to talk about the football podcast, and I honestly had no interest in it. I thought he was just talking because, please talk.
Yeah.
So when I heard this start, I was like, yo, who the fuck is this nincompoop that Zank is talking to? And is like, did he really replace Jake with some random guy? When I heard the other intro, I didn't know about the Still Real Radio. But I was like, oh, they're back. This is awesome. But Zanka and Jake got a new intro. I guess it's kind of cool. And then once they did that, I was bringing my forklift into a trailer. And it was perfect timing. It was a dark trailer. Nobody was around. Then I went, no fucking way! And then I hear the real intro. And it was like, ladies and gentlemen! And I'm a deathcore vocalist. Yeah, formerly in a band. But, like, I can do, like, that heavy growling and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I get into it when I hear that Still Real, that intro.
Yeah, their theme song.
So, like, I'll do my own, like, heavier version. Yeah. I'll be like, ladies and gentlemen. I was freaking out. I was like, you got me.
They got us good, man. They got us good, big time.
Yeah.
There's a big difference
The
with
shootings that work.
Still Real Radio with Josh and Zanka. That's when I first started listening in 2017. They know each other really well, and they talk to each other like they're best friends, and they actually respect each other. And then you get Jake and Zanka talking to each other, and you can tell that they're like almost opposites. It's pretty funny, like that. Maybe that's why it works so well. They're such opposites, and they play off each other well.
One is not good without the other. I'll be honest with you. Like, I was really, really upset if this was real about Jake leaving, because one is not good without the other. I would have been just as pissed off if they flipped it and it was Zanka, because like, one is the edgy heel and the other one is the annoying baby face.
That's right.
And they just play, like you said, they play off each other so well.
Well, after they devastated us and blew our minds, they kicked off Still Real 100 with a shot of whiskey. What is your alcohol of choice if you drink?
Funny thing about that, and I guess this ties into a huge part of my life, so I might as well put this out there. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I ruined the chance of drinking at the age of 21, the legal age to drink.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to alcohol. Basically, when I drink, I break out in handcuffs.
I never heard that one before. Damn, dude. Well, that's cool that you're sober. That's good. But all I do is drink, so that I'm surprised I don't talk about it more. But that's awesome that you're sober. It was funny how Jake reacted to the whiskey. He goes, "Oh, good thing I have my coffee here." And then they went on to talk.
Well, I know he at least took a shot.
They went on to talk about the movie The Irishman. And what's funny about that is The Irishman with De Niro and Pacino and Pesci is a 3-hour movie to which Zanka actually sat through. He sat through a 3-hour movie, but when it comes to recording a 2-hour podcast, if he sees a squirrel, it's all over.
Well, he buried the entire thing anyway.
Yeah, he did. Are you a movie fan? Have you seen The Irishman?
Well, actually, every time I go on Netflix, I happen to pass it. I always see The Irishman. So when they said it, I knew what it was, but I didn't. I guess they were explaining the movie to me for the first time because I never actually fully watched it or anything like that. But their description made me want to watch it and not watch it at the same time, I guess.
Yeah, Netflix is pushing that movie hard, and it might get nominated for something, so I'm probably going to end up biting the bullet and watching it, but I am not looking forward to it.
I might too. Yeah, I think I can agree with you on that.
And then they gave us...
And to answer your question from before, my drink of choice was Jameson, Irish whiskey.
Oh, wow. Is that strong shit?
Oh, it's real strong shit. Actually, you're a drinker, so here's a little advice for you. It's called an Irish car bomb if you've never heard of it.
I've heard of it.
Do you know how to make it?
No, I do not.
Okay, so you take a glass, you fill it 3/4 of the way with Guinness. Then you take a shot glass and you fill it about 85% with Jameson Irish whiskey. And then you top it off with Bailey's. You drop the shot glass in the glass of Guinness and you chug it as fast as you can, and it tastes like chocolate milk. Those things will get you fucked up because you won't even realize with how good it tastes how much you're drinking.
That does sound good.
I'm a professional. I ran my life into the ground with it.
I'm more of a vodka guy, but I will try that before I die. Maybe that'll kill me. Who knows? Okay, but moving on, they give us a blast from the past. The very first ever Chop Shop in the beginning of 2018 it was funny that they brought their friend in, Caleb, and I noticed something specific about his Cleveland Brown impression. He kind of sounded like Don Knotts from the Andy Griffith Show. So I didn't hear Cleveland Brown. I heard Don Knotts.
I heard Don Knotts in that episode of Family Guy where he's like, "It's so cold out here, we're gonna die."
I bet you most of the younger listeners will not get who Don Knotts is, but look him up, kids. He was funny, and he was good for his time.
He was funny. I still remember the whistle from that show. Actually, they just put the Andy Griffith Show back on Netflix.
Oh my god, I grew up watching that shit with Happy Days and all that garbage. But during the podcast, of course, they got into Rowan because why not? Zanka loves to push Jake's button, and they went on to describe a scenario where Rowan is carrying the key to Lars Sullivan's jail cell in that little cage, and Rowan has to free Lars Sullivan from prison, and Jake said that there is a painting attached to a dead bird with the key shoved up its ass, and the painting attached was a painting of a dead bird. In the corner, written in shit, said, "Love Lars." I thought that was a fucking funny scenario, and that popped me when I was at work as well.
Yeah, that's a brilliant mind to really just paint that whole visual in one's head, because sometimes when these guys talk and they make this shit up, I'm actually visualizing it, which is a scary thing.
Yeah, me too. Zanka has a fascinating imagination, and that's what makes his sense of humor so great.
Honestly, I hear Zanka all the time, and the one thing that always still pops into my mind is if we had met a certain amount of years ago, even if I was on a relapse, I feel like he would be like my drinking buddy every day. Like, me and him, we have a lot in common. We're very alike.
You guys could have been a tag team in the backyard wrestling, because Zanka, he's gotten in the ring before with Matt Taven, as he once stated previously.
That'd be badass.
Then we move on to the smoke blowing of the SRAP Army sending personal voice messages in. And one note I want to say about Andy's message, it sounded really gross, but I just laughed because of how gross it sounded with his voice message starting with the slurping. You remember that? He was doing the slurping. That's how his voice was. Like, I was laughing, but I thought in my head that's disgusting. But it was just fucking funny to me.
It's one of those things where you're like, I feel like this is going on too long. It's very gross, but it's very funny. But like, make it stop.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Sinikk Chaos. I'm going to give you your own chance. I'm going to give you your opportunity right now. Uninterrupted. I'm going to give you 1 minute to send your own personal message to the guys, because they do listen to this. The floor is yours.
All right, what's up, Zanka? What's up, Jake, you motherfucker? So, every single time that I put in my Instagram questions, I feel like, I don't know how long it takes to qualify, but I asked a question, and I had to write it twice because of, Jake's shoot work. And this time, it was me asking, how come I never get included in the SRAP Army when they have to throw it together? And Jake threw me under the bus. Every time, Jake throws me under the bus. Meanwhile, Zanka kind of agrees with me. So, my beef is with Jake. So, I propose this. Next time, anytime that it comes to my question, Jake reads the question, Zanka rolls off of it.
It was supposed to be a minute congratulating them on the 100 episodes.
Oh no, I just had to bury Jake.
Okay, no, that's acceptable too, man. That was funny. Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear their reaction.
Can I have another go at actually putting them both over?
Yeah, go for it, man.
What's up, Still Real? Thank you guys so much for 100 episodes. I might not have been there for every one of them, but I enjoyed all that I've listened to. And this is the best decent pod that a random misfit could ever ask for.
Well, there you go.
That's it. Fuck it.
That's good enough, man. Shit, I thought mine was too long, the one that I did, but so after that they get to the Instagram questions, and Zanka does read your question, and I don't know if you noticed this, but this popped me big time because on the last episode of The Hangover, I had Julius Caesar with me, and we read all the questions. We answered all the Instagram questions from last week. And I read all your hashtags, and I understood all your hashtags. But Zanka, he started reading your hashtags, and then towards the end of your hashtag list, this is what he said.
On to me again.
He was supposed to say on time again, but he read it as one word. Did you notice that?
I accepted it because words are hard.
Words are hard indeed. I got a kick out of that, man. That made me laugh so hard. And then we made it to the end.
I thought he was trying to take up a new language.
He's speaking some kind of foreign shit. We made it to the end of the 100th episode, and Jake, he's good at that technology stuff. I wouldn't have been able to do this. I can't even do it for the beginning of my Hangover show, but he did a really good job at doing a supercut of all the cameos that have been on the Still Real After Party, with the Still Real After Party podcast theme song playing behind it. I really enjoyed that part of the 100th episode. And then, if you stuck around long enough...
Did I hear... Dana Brooke put over Still Real. That wasn't real?
That was Jake. He purchased a cameo a very long time ago, and Dana Brooke said the name of the Still Real After Party podcast wrong, but it got a reaction out of everybody. It was pretty funny.
She can't get any of her opportunities right.
Well, she's getting that opportunity at Batista's dick. She got that one right.
Let us know how big it is.
Yeah, she needs to write in and tell us. Finally answer that long-ass question.
Is it long, or is it a short-ass question?
It's a thick question. No. If you stuck around long enough, just like the Marvel movies, you stick around to the end of the credits, you get an Easter egg out of SRAP 100. We got to hear the origin of Def Lars. And man, it made me laugh just as much now as it did then. Did you like that little Easter egg at the end?
I liked it a lot, and not only did I stick around long enough, but I listened to it for so long that I realized that it skipped after it was over into playing an old episode, like 3 episodes back, that I guess I never finished the last 3 minutes. So I listened to the whole thing.
It was a good one. Some podcasts, some wrestling podcasts, whenever they hear breaking news or like CM Punk returns or Kurt Angle's returning or whatever, they do like emergency podcasts like immediately after they hear the news. I almost dropped everything at work and recorded an emergency hangover because of how much I liked this episode. This might be my favorite episode of the Still Real After Party of all 100 of them. I loved it. It evoked almost every emotion out of me, and it was a special one. I don't know how they're going to top this one, but what are your final thoughts on SRAP 100?
Well, I think that the only time that they're ever going to top it is maybe episode 200, so they have another 99 episodes to think about how they're going to figure that shit out and top it. but it was like the opposite of WWE lately, where Big Show, people get nervous, they botch and they drop the ball. These guys delivered and hit on every cylinder.
Agreed. I mean, Jake might have stumbled through Dear WWE, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, Jake sucks.
Well, we've reached the end of the Hangover, my friend. And would you like to plug anything of your own? I noticed you had a TikTok channel. Would you like to plug that, or your YouTube, or anything you want? Go for it.
Yeah, actually, I've been very involved in TikTok. I'm almost got 15,000 followers at this point. That is at Cult of Chaos 13, CULTOFCHAOS 13. I'm definitely big into making TikToks and embarrassing myself. That shit's great. You guys know my Instagram, obviously, Sinikk_chaos. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, that is at Diseased Vessel.
Can I request something from you?
Sure.
Your next Instagram question, I would love it if you would shine some light on something you dropped a month ago. In one of your hashtags, you said the Sinikk Mafia is coming. I would love for you to explain that on your next Instagram question.
I still got to figure that shit out. I'm not even sure I knew what the fuck I was talking about.
Oh, I thought you were putting together like some like ultimate stable of the Steel Rail After Party or something.
You know what? Now that you just said that, you kind of gave me an idea. No, actually, no. You reminded me of where my mind state was at that very moment. The Mega Pounders with cheese reared their big, fat, ugly heads. And now I've got to create a little stable of my own. And then maybe, if you'd be so generous, on After Party Pro Wrestling, maybe we could have a faction war.
Hell yeah, dude. Come up with some characters or get a bunch of skinny guys to take on us fat guys. I'll make it happen.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the smart thing that every basketball captain does. I'm drafting the black guy.
Oh.
Hashtag we got one.
You're taking Tryon from us? How dare you?
I want Tryon.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much for coming on the Hangover. Thank you for your time. And, as always, all hail Linda's Bush. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Hail Ceizar.
It's your boy Julius_Caesar. And Mangria has asked me about what do I think about the sex tapes with the WWE superstars and who would I want to see get leaked. Now, what do I think? Hey, look, you're adults. You want to send nudes, pop off, make sex tapes, do what you got to do. Don't be an idiot and put your face in it like, Charlotte, Paige, and all them. Or even if you have a hand tattoo, don't be like Tony Storm and popping that shit off in the mirror. I mean, come on, son. Or like Ricochet finger popping your asshole in a mirror or some shit. Whatever. I mean, but yo, if you want to get down and dirty, get down and dirty. Your boy don't give a fuck. And who would I want to see? Shit. Where the list at, bro? Come on, man. Look. Actually, I might want to see Lana and Bobby Lashley have a sex tape. I don't know. Maybe some Rusev, too. Some Carmella, some Bliss, some shit. Everybody on the female roster. Even lesbian-ass Sonya Deville. I don't give two fucks. So, Mandy Rose. I mean, come on, son. The list goes on and on. An ass match between, like, Bayley, JoJo, and Kyla. Shit. I'm in it to win it with that one. Anyway. We're all adults. We all do dumb shit. We all got to get down how we get down. And if you got a problem with it or you don't like my list, you know what to do. See me in the comments. Prison Style, Tuesday. Holla at your boy.